From the liberal Northeast comes a lone voice of truth. Honest commentary in dishonest times. Think deeper with Juan Newsom. This is the Cure Radio Program. This is the Cure.
Okay, folks, here today on The Cure, I have a very special guest, someone that I have admired for quite a long time. Rose Tennent, you know her. She's been on TV and radio, affiliated with, various political campaigns. She's a frequent guest host of Sean Hannity. She appears quite a bit on Fox News and CNN. She co-hosted a syndicated radio talk show on iHeartRadio and Sirius. I know her from Rose Unplugged, her podcast, which she's amazing. And go check out the Ben Carson interview that she did, for example. Rose, thank you for appearing. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, Juan, it's my pleasure, and I hear so many good things about you, and I was listening to your podcast, and what I like about you is this, like, chill attitude that you have. I love that, because there's so much vitriol right now and so much anger, and to hear you're, like, chilled, but you got this strong message, but you're not, like, I just like it. I like your approach.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, that's a big compliment coming from you. Rose, I study media, even though it wasn't my major in college or, even though it wasn't my discipline, I've studied some of the greats. And, I remember the Phil Donahue days, and I don't know where he stood politically, but his shows were amazing. And they were amazing because, back then shows took their time, Right now, I think we live in the era of the talking point. That's why I haven't really done TV. I don't know how you do TV, like
a sound bites,
sound bites, talking points. It's really not. I have a certain standard. I have a certain standard for what I intake on TV. I have a certain standard. I don't buy certain books. Some people are just always selling whatever kind of book. I'm buying Thomas Sowell. I'm buying Walter E. Williams. I'm buying, Bill O'Reilly. He has great books. Good historian, good, journalist, Bill O'Reilly. That was his background. So, like, I have a certain standard for my intake. And some of the things that we're intaking here nowadays are just not healthy. It's just talking point, soundbite. People aren't getting the right information. And so I do some of my own individual podcasts where I go through the issues, but I do these shows because I want the audience to have a little bit more. I had Chris Harris on here. I had C.L. Bryan up here. Ben Shapiro. So I want people to get a little bit more than the daily microwave McDonald's talking points that they get on, the daily feed. So that's why I wanted to kind of have you here to kind of get, to get your take on today's topics, was also just to dive a little bit deeper. So thanks for being on. I wanted to get started with, because you're familiar with this industry, and I love media people. This media bias. What is going on? I haven't just to date myself. When Reagan was president, I was in diapers. So I didn't see the media transform. I've done a lot of research on it. The finances behind it and so forth. But when you go to these media outlets, and you've been on liberal outlets and conservative outlets, is it more so? Now, some of them are, I feel that they're deliberately being dishonest, but it's some of that miseducation on the part of some of these media figures that are giving us our daily news or feeding us, so to speak?
I think that you're being way too generous with the media. I do not think, what I think is it's a deliberate attempt to bring down this president. And they hate him so much because his narrative, his agenda is in such opposition to theirs that they don't care if they have to lie, cheat, or steal to fabricate something, to weave a narrative that will hurt him. And I am so sick of it. I mean, look, I remember Reagan. I think that was the first time I was able to vote. And I actually met him and I worked on his campaign. The media didn't like him either. But there was still some integrity in media. There was still, they at least adhered to some guidelines. Today, all of that has been thrown to the side. They know that they're lying. They pick up a mantra and they all continue it and they repeat it over and over again. And it's not even just the lies. It's the amount of coverage. For example, all of the media and all of the stories on, let's say, Kavanaugh, for example, Brett Kavanaugh, they were, I mean, like it was like 90% coverage on him doing all these horrible, awful things. Well, then we find out, of course, that he did not, which many of us suspected all along that he did not. But there was no follow-up stories to say, we were wrong, or this was exaggerated. So it's deliberate deliveries of the news that they want you to hear. And the news then is fabricated. And when our president, then candidate Donald Trump, came down that escalator, started calling them out for what they were, fake news, so many of us, and Juan, I'm sure you're one of them, knew that it was fake. We never gave it that name, actually, but we're like frustrated with the bias. We would call it media bias at the time. Yep. Here's a candidate that comes out and says, you know what? These guys are fake. And he didn't even care because, you know what? Maybe some of the establishment Republicans whom I could not stand, Mitt Romney and John McCain, I can't believe that's all the better we could do those two times. But or Bob Dole, for God's sake. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, he was awful.
Right? Come on. But the thing is, these guys, they might have believed they knew there was a bias, but you would never hear them call it out because this guy doesn't care. He honestly doesn't care. He called it out. He's honest. And this is what I like about him. Hey, as a woman, I don't want to date him. I sure as heck don't want to marry him. But I do want him in there because the things that he's done for me, for my child, when you consider that female unemployment is at over a 50-year low, that youth unemployment, the same thing, African-American and Hispanic unemployment, historic lows, I don't care about anything else except for results. And he has given us those results. The sad thing is no one talks about it because it's not fitting their narrative. They can't report it.
This president has monumental accomplishments, not only domestically. You named all those domestic accomplishments, but he has one of the most comprehensive, well thought out foreign policies I've ever seen, and he's not getting the credit for that.
No.
You look at the move, the embassy move in Jerusalem, that was well thought out. You look at the Middle East peace plan in details. You look at the pushback that he's given Russia and China, not only within the UN, but economically. I mean, you look at how things are being repositioned in NATO. NATO members are paying their fees. What this president the North Korea deal, there will be, it seems like there's going to be some semblance of peace in the Korea. The fact that he brought Kim Jong-un to the table, I thought was impressive. And
come on.
This guy is amazing. This guy is amazing. These are some amazing, monumental accomplishments. And if it was a Democrat in the White House, they would be singing his praises. If a Democrat would have pulled the 58 soldiers out of Syria last week, they would be singing his praises. So it's an insult. It is a total insult to the American voter to try to misconstrue and to twist this guy's. He should be up for a Nobel Peace Prize. In my view, I mean, Obama got the Peace Prize for doing absolutely nothing. He actually bombed 7 countries. This guy he's I've never seen a president in my lifetime tie foreign policy, economic policy, and diplomacy. He walks that line. I've never seen a president really walk that line and kind of combine those elements. And so I think he's going to get reelected. He's going to get a performance vote. I think he may very well win the popular vote, which would be a total slap in the face of this media and, the establishment trying to take him down. So that's something that we're just going to have to see. But I think he's holding up well. Did you see the Dallas, Texas rally the other night?
But Juan, that my friends and I were all texting that night together on a group text, and they sent a screenshot of the Twitter newsfeed. Was it Twitter? I think it was Twitter newsfeed. Mm-hmm. And the headline on Twitter newsfeed was "Empty seats abound," at the Dallas rally. And I'm like, are you freaking looking at the same thing I am? I mean, they shot that clearly before the stadium was filled.
Yeah.
I didn't see any empty seats. I had friends that were there. I actually got them VIP tickets.
Yep.
So they were there on the floor taking pictures, of all around them. Wow. And again, here's that fake news coming into play again. But they love him. He is hot. This is what he does best. He gets out there and speaks to the American people like no one else can do. And I'll tell you, yep. Because you know why? Because he genuinely cares about this country. He is a man. I don't see him as a politician. I don't see him as a Democrat, a Republican. I see him simply as a man who believes that there are problems that he can fix. And so he wants to come in and do it. He's not taking a salary. Nobody ever talks about that. If Obama didn't take a salary, there'd be a statue erected to him within the first 10 days, after inauguration. This man loves this country. He is quite unique. I was watching the video this morning of the Dallas rally because I didn't see it in its entirety the other day. And I thought, my goodness, I love him. I know it sounds crazy, but I love this guy. I love him. And when the best part was when he was asked by a French reporter, she said that in France, our unemployment is so high, and in America, yours is so low. And he said, that's because I'm a better president than your president, or something to that effect. And I thought, God. Only he could do that, right?
Only he can get away with that.
Yes, my God. But he's right. He
is right. He's right. What do you think?
Has so many problems, not the least of which is the economy, but he's got problems galore with illegal immigration and open border. There's so much going on in France right now. Terrorism. Yeah.
And we need France. That's the thing, President Trump, foreign policy wise, he's kind of have to be now Boris Johnson is in the UK, obviously. So that's going to alleviate some things. But before then, Europe, Merkel in Germany and Macron, they were asleep behind the wheel. So you have President Trump kind of dragging everyone to the table. That's a lot to bear. Reagan had allies. He had Thatcher.
Right.
And other leaders inside the European Union, inside the EU. He had the Pope. Pope John Paul helped him kill communism, little to be known. So he had allies. Trump had nobody for 3 years. And he's still leading stronger than I've ever seen a president lead in my adult life anyway.
Agreed.
What do you think about this impeachment stuff? Now they're getting pretty crazy down there. They took a vote under House rules, and the vote was rejected. And so now they're doing secret meetings in the basement of the Capitol.
That's horrible.
Is going on?
That's horrible. Can you imagine if we did anything like that?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh, good God. But, these people are desperate. Mm-hmm. Their drama is just driving me crazy. And the American people, I think, are tired. We are fatigued. We were Russian collusion fatigued, and now we're becoming impeachment fatigued. So I say keep it up. Go ahead.
we're literally in a constitutional crisis. I mean, I tell some of my friends I'm in Jersey, and I tell some of my
Sorry
Republican
about
friends
that.
in
But
Jersey, I know, it's horrible. I tell some of my Republican friends, I'm like, look, guys, you look at President Trump, this is how you're supposed to lead. This guy says what he wants. He says what's on his mind. He keeps his promises, and he doesn't curtail to the pressure. And you see this impeachment. You see this impeachment stuff. And you know what? Rose? I'm gonna blame Paul Ryan for 2 minutes because Trump and Pence came in with a good agenda. Okay, they came in. We could have passed tax cuts along with repealing Obamacare completely, along with several other things that could have been done. And, he left the president exposed. Republicans didn't keep their promise. And Paul Ryan, I don't know, the last 8 months, what did he do? Check out? Did he check out? I mean, he was doing.
Paul Ryan is the quintessential establishment swamp dwelling politician. You can't get a better example of one of those than in Paul Ryan. I was never fond of him, and now we know that he's serving on the board of directors for Fox News, and the guy hates Trump. He's our president, for God's sake. I don't care if you don't shut up about it. You're a Republican, but these and he's making decisions that affect the very company he is supposed to be working hard for, right? Fox News.
Yeah.
But that aside, this man, his hatred for he as far as I'm concerned, he's no better than the Democrats that are doing what they're doing, because his hatred for this president is outweighing his love and commitment to this country.
Yeah. And I remember Paul Ryan early on. And he made some really bold proposals to curtailing spending. And, I applauded that, even though I didn't agree with all of it. But he did. They were some very bold proposals. Now, for me, my expectation, if anybody would understand the president's shoes, it would be somebody like Paul Ryan, who's really, who really built the beginning of his career off making these, massive changes, to the federal budget, freeing up the economy more. But it seems like the longer those guys stay in there, the more comfortable they get. I remember I pulled up, and just to give you an example, I pulled up some early quotes from John Boehner when he first went to Congress, and I think he went in on the Reagan wave. And if you read some of the early quotes of John Boehner, he sounds like Ted Cruz. if you go back and read some of his early quotes, now I don't know how genuine they were, but he was very bold. But he ended up being speaker. He ended up being a swamp dweller. He ended up being very, progressive in his approach to some of these issues and policies. It's just unfortunate. I mean, 2 years, Trump, I was excited when he got elected. Republicans had the House and the Senate. They had been making promises. They should have passed. There's no excuse for not have passing sweeping legislation. And now the presidency is in jeopardy. His presidency is in jeopardy based on lies, rumors, and hearsay. And you have an unconstitutional situation going on in the House where they could possibly have an impeachment vote. It's an insult.
Yeah, exactly. It is an insult. And I don't understand what it is that some of these Republicans don't understand about how great. I mean, you talked about, not just domestically, but globally. Don't forget, too, as soon as he got in there, he got rid of TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was horrible. He focused on the Iran deal. He got us out of the Paris Climate Accord. I mean, this guy, as soon as his feet hit the ground, even before he was running, when he talked about cutting out regulations for every one new regulation, he was going to get rid of 2. Well, he got rid of more than 2. The ratio is much greater than that.
1,000.
I mean, there were some of the things that he did that all Republicans should be grateful for and should be on the same page. But here's something, one, I still believe differentiates him between and the others, and that is this. Because I don't believe he's a politician, whenever he makes a decision, President Trump does so with the American people in mind. What is going to benefit the American people the most? And that's how he bases his decisions. Other politicians, once you're in the swamp, your feet get a little stuck, and you start making promises that you don't really intend to keep. It's just enough to get you through the next election. And because he's not a politician, he doesn't do that.
Yep.
And
I love it.
That's a huge difference right there.
I love it. And it's exactly what the founders had in mind when they created the Constitution.
Yes.
You serve your country and you go home. After this, President Trump is done. After his 2 terms, he's done. Some of these guys have been in the swamp 20, 30, 40 years. Look at Elijah Cummings, just passed away. How many years was he there? How many years?
Long time. Oh, please.
Robert Byrd.
Did you ever sit in the gallery and look down when they're doing a vote? And the last one I did was for this in the Senate. And you look down and there's all these old men. All you can see is white hair and shuffling. They were just shuffling around the floor. Hey, babe, it's time to go home. It is time to go home.
It is. That dovetail, let's, because we're talking about Congress. We're talking about the presidency. What do you think about these debates? I saw that debate. Did you watch the debate the other night?
No, you can't. I can't bear it any longer. I love it. Was it June or July? I think it was June when President Trump tweeted "boring" after the debate, and he's right, boring, because what do we hear? The same old thing we hear. They're going to take away our tax breaks. They're going to take away our guns. They love abortion. They, oh my God, I can only hear that so often, and it never changes. And they are all crazy. I think that Marianne Williamson, if you take her sound bites and you could play that with Twin Peaks music and it works perfectly. She's so and new agey. I mean, she's just bizarre. Joe Biden, I guess you could watch it for comic relief, but I no longer find it funny. It's the same old thing. And it's all it is how much they love abortion, hate tax cuts, love Obamacare, hate guns. I say keep having them because the American people are not stupid. And, go ahead and just keep doing the same thing you're doing. And what I love is that as long as they misreport or underreport the number of people at the Trump rallies, as long as they misreport or underreport the support that he has in the polls, as long as they keep on doing that, then let us quietly do our thing because we're going to surprise them once again on Election Day. And I'll tell you, in Nevada and New Mexico, the number of Hispanics that are supporting the president now has grown.
Wow.
I think, and then you see all these exit groups, Brexit and Jexit for the Jews that are leaving the Democrat Party. And then, of course, the guy who started it all was Brandon Strzok, who started #WalkAway. You should have you had him on your show?
I haven't had him yet, but I'm going to get him on.
You should. I love him. He's such a great guy. You tell him I said hello when you do. But that, you're seeing this huge exodus from the Democratic Party that we didn't even see in 2016.
Yeah.
So this is new. It's new.
Yeah. It's definitely new. Definitely politics have changed. I feel like the Democratic Party, and it didn't start with Obama, but it just intensified. They have sowed so much poison into the body politics that now that's where all this rejection is coming from. They have sowed poison after poison, male against female, gays against straights.
Did you see what happened in that In-N-Out burger place in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Oh my God, these people so if I live near an In-N-Out burger, so anybody that's listening to Juan's podcast, if you live near one, get the heck in there and start buying some burgers and milkshakes. Yeah. Okay. And these employees, what they did, oh my God, I'm so impressed. But I'll put it up on my Twitter. By the way, my Twitter is @Rose_Unplugged, @Rose_Unplugged. And Facebook is Rose Unplugged, and my website's Rose Unplugged. So please like me everywhere and do all that stuff. Follow me.
Please do
whatever.
that. Please do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. But you want? Do you mind if I mention women too? How we've been treated by the media? And
go
the
right
Democrats?
ahead. Go right
Thank
ahead.
you. Because I actually am serving on the advisory board for Women for Trump, Laura Trump's
That's right.
coalition. Are we getting close to is it the half hour mark that we have to watch out for?
Oh no, we're fine. Keep going.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
So all right, Laura Trump's coalition. So as a woman, Juan, I felt that we were vote shamed in 2016. I felt that the headlines, betrayal of white women voters, or another headline was foot soldiers for the patriarchy. How dare you? How dare you to suggest that we are foot soldiers, that we have betrayed someone because we don't vote the way you think we should vote? That's putting us right back under the thumb of that so-called patriarchy that we fought so hard to get out from under. How dare you? I am so furious. As women, we should be furious that they are trying to manipulate us and to shame us for voting the way we want to vote. Isn't that what we fought for 100 years ago? Beyond 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we finally got it 100 years ago, and that was the right to vote. Yeah. And I'll tell you something. Those women were influenced by the Second Great Awakening, because the platform of the Second Great Awakening was abolishing slavery. Yep. And those women in the North were working on abolishing slavery. And as they were working on that, they thought, wait a minute, while we believe that all men are created equal, no matter what color, whatever, they are created equal, don't we also believe that women are too? And out of that, Juan, grew the suffrage movement.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you now this is we're going to dive a little deep here. It seems to me that in the media, conservative women are just ignored. You look at mainstream publications, you look at TV, all of these heroines, all of the women that they praise, they lean left. They ignore conservative women. And then when you do have a strong conservative voice out there that happens to be a woman, she's put down. They destroy conservative. Look at what they did to Sarah Palin. That was just horrible. Sarah Sanders.
Sarah Sanders.
Yeah. Oh my God. What is it with the media and conservative women? Like, where does that come from?
They are so jealous of us because we are so damn good looking. We are so much better looking. I don't know. I'm just teasing. Although I have to say conservative women are very attractive, I've noticed. But listen, this is nothing, and not only in the media, but on social media, wherever you go. I mean, our voice is being silenced, which is just an atrocity. I mean, any voice being silenced is. So, somehow we're still making headway. Somehow we're still having our voice heard. But it's an uphill battle. We're swimming against the tide.
Yeah, I think Candace, she's doing a good job of that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Talk about a good-looking woman. She's gorgeous.
She's doing a great job of that. I'm really happy that that she's out there providing a message. When she was giving her testimony in Congress, it was just so powerful. Because she spoke for so many underrepresented groups. It was very powerful. I think her and Charlie Kirk, they're doing some great things over there. And, going to the camp, that's really the front lines. You go into the campuses where, they don't really tolerate conservative speech on campuses.
Right.
You don't have a lot of staff members, professors that are openly conservative. It's pretty much, unless you're going to, Liberty, the first thing that I think of, Liberty University, right. Hillsdale College, which is one of our sponsors, by the way, folks.
Oh, great.
Hillsdale.edu, folks, if you need, they have traditional academic learning, but there's also a good place to learn about the founding, to learn about the Constitution. So, folks, go to hillsdale.edu. Please donate. They're a private institution, and they do not depend on government like conservatives. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
So back to women. They ignore women. And, the conservative media, we have to, promote our women, put them out there. I'm glad that you have Women for Trump there. I mean, he needs that. And, it's no coincidence that Trump won 51% of the married woman vote. People are worried about kitchen table issues. How much disposable income that they're going to have at the end of a paycheck. Are they going to be able to save? Are they going to be able to send their kids to college?
Right.
What their taxes are going to look like. These are kitchen table issues. I can't feed my family on impeachment hearings. That's not going to feed.
No, good point. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. And I think the American people are on to all of this. They are.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you're going to have that certain number of people who aren't going to let you know how they're voting. But I believe, I agree with you. He is going to win again. He is going to win again. Mm-hmm.
I think so. Even though he's getting, and if you look at MediaQuant, they do a lot of statistics for media coverage. And according to them, I believe the last time I read, President Trump gets 92% negative coverage. But so even with all of the negative media coverage that he's still getting coverage. So,
you know why? Because he's making his own. That guy, like when he says that thing about the president of France, that got a lot of play. But you know what? People are going to look at that and say, "Oh wow, they're right. France isn't doing," or they didn't know that. I didn't know that. France isn't doing as well as we are. His Twitter account alone is getting his message out. When he does those rallies, which he has and he will, he's got them all over the place. Those rallies are what seal the deal for him. So, this man is brilliant when it comes to figuring out how to get the most out of the little that he's been given in terms of coverage. And he's doing it.
I think so too, Rose. I know you're probably busy today. I just want to thank you for being on. We definitely have to do it again. And thank you for all the work that you're doing on Trump campaign.
Oh, thank you, honey. It's my pleasure. So I will do everything I can this next year to make sure he wins again. And Juan, listen, the same back at you. I mean, I had so much fun with you, and you really know what's going on. So anytime you want to do this again, please let me know. Please let me know.
And if you want to come on, it's the same thing. You're the best.
All right. Yeah. And send me, I'll put it up on my social media. People need to know about your podcast. You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome too. I totally look up to you and I really appreciate it.
You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. Rose Unplugged, by the way, all social media, Rose Unplugged.
Catch on Rose Unplugged, roseunplugged.com, folks. She's everywhere.
Thank you, Juan.
This is The Cure.